Welcome to Silicon Valley Asian Business Talk.
Hello, everyone. This is Roger Chen from University of San Francisco Center for Business Studies and Innovation, Asia Pacific. Welcome to join our interview program. We want to thank you for the support.
All right. Thank you, Roger. Thank you for inviting me to this session. My background, I grew up in India and came here for my master's in the early 80s in computer science, and then moved to, and that was at Virginia Tech on the East Coast. I then got my first job at Intel. I went to a college in India called BITS Pilani, which is considered to be India's #1 private university for science and engineering. Intel was like the dream company. I was fortunate to get a job there. So about 10 years into Intel journey, you're surrounded by a lot of entrepreneurs here in Silicon Valley. And, I decided to, begin my own journey with a company called Sierra Atlantic. And, that grew to be a fairly substantial size company, about 2,500 employees worldwide over a 17-year period. And, through the course of that, we raised capital from some of the Sandal Road companies, venture funds. So that's kind of my background as a tech entrepreneur. And I've also been spending considerable time in the nonprofit sector starting 2010-11. Both here in the US and also in India. And a good part of my time also goes into working with tech startups, mostly young first-time founders, helping them build their companies, mostly as an early investor, angel investor, but sometimes I get more actively involved with them, serving on the boards and all that.
Discussion topic: 5% to 95% talent rule in building startups.
For many young or inexperienced startup founders, CEOs, what are the common weaknesses you observed, for these young kind of first-time founders, CEOs that they need to work on? What are some of the common weaknesses? You tend to coach them, you tend to help them because they need help in those areas.
Yeah. I mean, just, partly even looking back on my own experience, right? You really underestimate the importance of just having those few key people that can, make or break a company. We often talk about this Pareto principle of whatever 80% of the value comes from 20% of your effort, or, all of that, right? But I would say in case of building companies, it's probably 5% of the people that give you 95% of the value for the company, right?
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's just my, making sure you have those key 5 people. And this is not to say the other people are not, they all have to, but if you don't have those 5 or 6 or 10 people, whatever, in the, as you get to be 100-person, 200 people company, it's very hard to take that out. I think Bill Gates actually said once, if you take the top 10 people out of Microsoft, will be just another ordinary company or something like that, right? I forget what number it was, but it is something like 10 or maybe 20 at the most, but not beyond. So I think that's very important. So your ability to constantly look for, attract, nurture, and retain that kind of talent, right? Because that sort of high caliber talent won't stay with you unless, you give him or her the right reasons to, continue. And then, the other thing we already talked about is the importance of having a good head of finance, CFO, because we often talk about, technology, product market fit, and, early customers. All of those are extremely important. But if you don't have that right finance function, and this is not in the very early stages, this is as you get to Series A, maybe past Series A even,
That's a great point. So Mike, actually this is very insightful points about the critical assets. Let's call that critical assets, like a very few critical people will break or make the company. As a founder, as a CEO of a startup company, how do they know what are the indicator they need to pay attention to say, hey, I got these critical mass, even though it's kind of very small number of people, and or still need to look for these kind of people. What are the indicators they need to follow? And also you advise them to work toward that direction to get these critical assets, ready in the company.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about the startups or any of these for-profit businesses, your market tells you whether you're on the right track or not, right? So if your customers are, buying into whatever you're pitching to them, or once you, of course, once you reach milestones like a product market fit, I think that tells you how well your overall team is functioning. Now, you could assemble the most talented people and sometimes not get it right because of something happening in the market. So, I mean, that happens, right? In fact, there are founders, I told, one of them that, hey, that didn't work out, where I invested and I was on the board along with, some of the most well-known VCs like Sequoia and others who were on that board. But I said, hey, next time you do a startup, I would definitely want to, invest in you.
Wow.
Yeah. So, because I really like this person as a leader and how, he sort of built up the team and everything. But you could get it wrong. I mean, that doesn't, because there's something that happens in the market and, time will tell.
Thank you for watching.